I never believed in fairy tales. Love? Sure, it existed, but only for other people. Me? I was just a guy who got tired of eating dinner alone and waking up in an empty apartment. So when my longtime friend Emily suggested we get married, not for passion, but for practicality, I said yes. I was 35, and I wasn't expecting fireworks. I just wanted someone reliable, someone to share a mortgage with, someone who wouldn't disappear after 3 months. Emily felt the same way. We had history, we understood each other, and most importantly, we both dreaded being alone. The first year was easy. No nerve-wracking dates, no overanalyzing texts. We split chores, watched the same TV shows, and took turns making morning coffee. It wasn't fiery, but it was peaceful and comfortable. Then something changed. Somewhere between laughing at our ridiculous dance moves in the kitchen and arguing over which takeout place was better, I realized I didn't just like being with Emily. I loved her. One night, after an especially intense round of Mario Kart, I blurted out, "I think I love you." She looked at me, controller in hand, and smirked. "Took you long enough." Turns out, she had fallen first. So yeah, I married her just to avoid being alone. But in the end, I got a love story better than any fairy tale.
If someone had told me that I'd regret my wedding a month after it happened, I would have laughed. I'm not an idiot. I thought things through. I knew what I was signing up for, or so I thought. My name is Mike, and I'm 36. I married Sarah a year ago, and in that 1 year, I feel like I've aged a decade. We had been dating for 2 years, and honestly, everything was fine. Not perfect, but who lives in perfection? Sarah was beautiful, smart, had a job, friends, her own hobbies. Yeah, she could get a little hot-tempered when things didn't go her way, but I figured that was just her personality. Nobody's perfect, right? I proposed over dinner at a nice restaurant. Nothing too fancy, just a ring and a simple, "Will you marry me?" She teared up, hugged me, and whispered, "Of course, yes." At that moment, I was sure I was making the right decision. The first few weeks after the wedding were tolerable. We went on our honeymoon, smiled for pictures, ate expensive ice cream by the ocean, and then we came home. That's when it started. The first real warning sign came when I stayed out late with friends. I texted Sarah, let her know. Thought she'd just say, "Okay, have fun." Instead, I got a 3-paragraph message. "Why didn't you tell me about this in advance? Why are your friends more important than me? I'm sitting here alone while you're out drinking." I rolled my eyes, figured she was just having a bad day. But those bad days started happening more and more often. Sarah suddenly started making a big deal out of everything. If I was 15 minutes late, interrogation. If I didn't answer a text within 10 minutes, interrogation. If I went to the gym without her, interrogation. One time, I came home from work, exhausted with a splitting headache. She wasn't home, so I just crashed on the couch and turned on a football game. 30 minutes later, she walked in, saw me, and immediately started yelling, "Seriously, you're just lying there. I had to go to the grocery store alone because you didn't even offer to help." I sighed, got up, and helped her unpack the bags, even though I had no energy left. She didn't say thank you, didn't smile, just kept mumbling under her breath about how inconsiderate I was. 6 months into the marriage, I realized I was afraid to come home. Not because she was violent, no, nothing like that, but because I never knew what to expect. Some days, she'd be sweet and affectionate, cooking dinner and curling up next to me on the couch. Other days, she'd explode over something small, like me forgetting to close the toilet lid. One moment, she'd be crying, telling me how much she loved me. The next, she'd be screaming that I didn't respect her, didn't appreciate her, didn't love her enough. And then it got even worse. One night, while I was asleep, she took my phone and went through everything. Every text, every email, even old work chats. The next morning, she confronted me because some girl named Anna texted you, "How are you?" 3 years ago, I changed my password. She accused me of hiding something. I stopped hanging out with friends. She still said I didn't give her enough attention. I started working late just to avoid going home, and somehow that was also wrong. One day, she looked me straight in the eye and said, "I should always be your #1 priority. I'm your wife." And that's when it hit me. I didn't exist anymore. There was only Sarah and her expectations of me. One night, I sat on the edge of our bed and thought, what if this never changes? I pictured myself 10 years from now, sitting in the same house with the same woman, constantly walking on eggshells, constantly trying not to set her off. And I felt terrified. The next day, I filed for divorce. She screamed. She cried. She called me a traitor. She said I was destroying our family. But you know what the scariest part was? I didn't feel anything. No guilt. No sadness. Just relief. I got married to be happy. In the end, I realized it's better to be alone than to live in fear of the person who's supposed to love you the most.
When I proposed to my wife, I knew that marriage meant making compromises. But I never expected those compromises to always go one way. My name is Alex, I'm 34, and I've been married for 3 years. It's not that long, but sometimes it feels like my entire life now revolves around giving in. Things used to be different. I had a great group of friends. We'd go fishing, play poker on Fridays, do whatever we wanted. If I saw something I liked, I'd buy it. If I wanted to go somewhere, I'd go. But after getting married, well, let's just say the rules of the game changed. At first, it was small things. She didn't like my old couch? Fine, we'd get a new one. She wanted me to stay home more instead of hanging out with my friends? Alright, we'd spend more time together. But then I started noticing that almost every decision in our life was made by her. I had a best friend, Tom. We'd known each other since college, been through everything together. One day, he invited me to a party where our old crew was getting together. I went to my wife and told her I wanted to go. She just looked at me. Silence. Do you even realize how long it's been since we had an evening together? I felt something tighten in my chest. Of course, I realized it. But for God's sake, it was just one night. It's just for a couple of hours. You're okay with that, right? She sighed, crossed her arms, and sat down on the couch. Go ahead. If that's more important to you than spending time with me. I stayed. A few months later, Tom called me and said, Look, Alex, I get it. You're married now, your life is different. But it feels like you're slowly giving up everything that made you you. I almost snapped. I wanted to yell, to tell him he didn't understand. But instead, I just hung up the phone. After that, we barely saw each other. I had always dreamed of having a massive TV that covered an entire wall. I pictured watching football on it, playing video games, hosting movie nights. After all, I worked hard, I made money, why not treat myself? One evening, I casually mentioned my idea to my wife. She smirked at first, then shook her head. Alex, that's ridiculous. A giant TV in a small apartment? It would look terrible. Besides, we already planned for a vacation, remember? I did remember. But I thought a vacation was something we were supposed to decide on together. Turns out, the decision had already been made. 2 weeks later, instead of a giant TV on my wall, we had framed photos from the beach. We had spent a fortune on a trip that she wanted. Sure, it was nice, but deep down, something still felt off. I didn't say a word. To be fair, it's not always bad. We have a tradition. Every summer, the whole family, her parents, siblings, nieces, nephews, spends time at a lake. And honestly, it's great. Campfires, fishing, boating, barbecues. In moments like those, I start to think that maybe it's all worth it. I sit by the water, drink a beer, watch the kids splash around while my wife laughs and chats with her mom. Sometimes, I catch myself thinking that this is what life is about. That family isn't just about sacrifices, it's also about moments that make it all worthwhile. But then we go back to the city. And the same cycle starts all over again. Honestly, I don't know. Sometimes, it feels like I've given up too much, my friends, my personal choices, the freedom to just do things for myself. Sometimes, I convince myself that this is how marriage works. That family should come before things like TVs and nights out with friends. But sometimes, I just stare at the ceiling and wonder, what if I had done things differently?
I'm 82 now, and I've been married to my wife, Linda, for 60 years. I still don't know how the time went by so fast, but when I think about it, all I can say is, I don't ever want to imagine my life without her. We were high school sweethearts, best friends before anything else. I met her in our freshman year, and she was always the one I could talk to, laugh with, or just sit in comfortable silence. I remember when I first realized I was in love with her, we were sitting under the big oak tree in the schoolyard, and she made some joke about the teacher. Her laugh was like music, and I thought, this is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. We were both young, ambitious, and eager to figure out what life had in store for us. But I always knew that as long as I had Linda by my side, I could face anything. So, after high school, when the time came to propose, it wasn't a big decision. It just felt like the natural next step. We had already been through everything together, every up and down, every heartbreak, every triumph. Looking back now, I see how blessed we are. Life hasn't always been easy, but having her around made all the tough times bearable. We've been through some real hardships, losses, health scares, and the kind of struggles that can tear a couple apart. But not us. We've been each other's best friends, and that's something I'll always cherish. Over the years, we've seen a lot of people come and go. Many of our friends have passed away, and our parents and extended family are no longer here. It's just us now, just the two of us. Some people would say it's sad, but to me, it's not. It's just reality. And I know that if anything ever happened to Linda, I wouldn't be able to go on without her. Honestly, if I woke up one morning and she wasn't breathing next to me, I think I'd have a heart attack right then and there. That's the kind of bond we have. She's everything to me. One of the things that has kept our relationship so strong is the time we spend together. Every Sunday, without fail, we're out on the golf course. Now, we're not exactly trying to join the PGA or anything. We're not out there for competition. It's our time. Our ritual. I'm not the best golfer. Never was, probably never will be. But when I'm out there with Linda, every swing is special. We don't worry about keeping score, it's not about that. It's about enjoying each other's company, laughing at our mistakes, and celebrating our little victories. We walk the course slowly, side by side, chatting about everything under the sun. Sometimes we talk about our children and grandchildren, how proud we are of them. Other times, we reminisce about when we were young, back in high school, and laugh about all the silly things we did. Those long walks, those moments of just being together, are some of the most precious parts of my week. Another thing we love to do is cook. I never would have guessed, when I was younger, that I'd enjoy spending hours in the kitchen, but here we are. And I wouldn't want it any other way. Linda's always been the better cook, but I like to think I've learned a thing or two over the years. We have a system, she handles the main course, and I take care of the sides. There's something about the rhythm we've developed in the kitchen that feels like a dance, chopping, stirring, tasting, laughing. We play our favorite music, and the time flies by. It's a simple joy, but one that never gets old. When we make dinner together, it's not just about the food. It's about the memories we're making. Whether we're cooking something we've never tried before or making our favorite old recipes, every meal is special when we do it together. And then there are our cruises. We've been on dozens of them over the years, and they're always the highlight of our year. There's just something about being out at sea, exploring new places, and having the time to just relax and enjoy life that makes cruising perfect for us. We love the whole experience, everything from the food to the entertainment to the excursions in the ports. But for me, the best part is always just being with Linda. We have our little routine, we get up early, grab breakfast, and then head out to the deck to watch the sunrise. Then we'll spend the day lounging by the pool, going to shows, and trying new things. At night, we always go for a walk around the ship, watching the stars, and talking about life. It's a time to reflect, to just be in the moment. We don't need fancy dinners or extravagant excursions. All we need is each other and the open sea. I guess when you get to my age, you start to appreciate the simple things in life, the things that really matter. The sound of Linda's voice, her smile, the way she still looks at me the same way she did when we were teenagers. It's the small moments, like holding her hand on the golf course, or cooking together, or sitting side by side on the deck of a cruise ship, that make life truly beautiful. These are the things I hold on to, the things I know are worth more than anything else in this world. I don't need anything else. I have everything I've ever wanted right here. And as long as I have Linda by my side, I know I'll never be alone, no matter how many years go by.
I'm 63 now, and I can't say I've had a happy life with my husband. In fact, I'd go so far as to say I hate him. That might sound harsh, but it's the truth. Looking back, I can't believe I ended up in this marriage, but here I am, stuck in a life that wasn't my choice. It all started when I was young. My parents were insistent that I settle down, get married. All my sisters had already found their husbands, and they were pushing me to do the same. I wasn't really in love with the idea. In fact, I had someone else in mind, a man I loved deeply when I was younger. But I couldn't marry him, it wasn't the right time, or maybe I wasn't the right person for him. Either way, he wasn't interested in me in the way I was in him. And so, I ended up marrying Paul. My parents were happy, my sisters were happy. But I wasn't. I never felt that spark, that excitement, that I had felt for my first love. It was more of a decision out of convenience than anything else. Paul was a good man, nothing wrong with him, really. But he wasn't the man I dreamed about, and I suppose he never could be. Paul, my husband, is a decent guy. He's kind, reliable, and stable, and for many, that's more than enough. But for me, it wasn't. I never had that rush of excitement, the butterflies in my stomach that you're supposed to feel when you're in love. We never had that connection, that deeper bond. He's always been, well, just there. He's also let himself go over the years. Back when we first got together, he was in decent shape, nothing special, but fit enough. But now, well, let's just say he's let his appearance slide. His belly's gotten bigger with each passing year, and it's hard to ignore. He doesn't really do anything about it, and it frustrates me. I've always cared about staying fit and healthy, and here he is, getting more and more out of shape as the years go by. But that's not the worst of it. The real issue is the drinking. Paul has always liked to drink, sometimes casually, sometimes more than that. Over the years, his drinking has become more of a problem. He'll come home after work, grab a bottle, and it's like his whole personality changes. He becomes this version of himself that I don't like, and that's when the frustration really sets in. One of the worst things about being in this marriage is how my brother feels about Paul. They never really hit it off, and now, they barely even speak. It's not that my brother is a bad person, he's just protective of me, and he never liked how I ended up with Paul. He never thought Paul was right for me, and honestly, I think he was right. My brother doesn't mince words, and I've had more than one heated argument with him about my choice in a husband. Sometimes I wonder if my brother was right all along. I've seen the way he looks at Paul, and it's hard to deny that he sees what I see, a man who isn't living up to his potential, a man who has let life pass him by. It's one of those silent, unspoken things between us, the way we both silently acknowledge that things are not how they should have been. I've always been someone who valued my health and fitness. I've always been active, even as I've gotten older. I take Pilates classes regularly, and I've kept myself in shape. I feel stronger and healthier than most people my age. I've never been one to sit still and let life pass me by. But with Paul, it's different. He's content to watch TV and drink, and I can't stand it. I want to get out, move, do something productive. I can't relate to him anymore. I feel like we're living in two separate worlds. While I'm working on my flexibility, strength, and health, he's sitting in front of a screen, nursing a beer. It's frustrating and isolating. Sometimes I wonder if he even cares about his health anymore. At the end of the day, I feel trapped. I don't have the freedom to live my life the way I want to. I have to cater to his needs, pick up after him, listen to him complain after a night of drinking. I want more than this. I wanted more than this from the start, but I didn't have the courage to walk away. Maybe it was fear of being alone, or maybe it was the pressure from my family. Whatever it was, it led me here, and now it's too late to change it. Every time I look at Paul, I feel like I'm looking at a stranger. The man I married isn't the man I see now. He's changed, and so have I. But somehow, we're still stuck in this marriage that feels like it's slowly suffocating me. I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending it's okay. I want to be happy. I want to feel alive. But instead, I feel like I'm just existing. I wonder if things would have been different if I had chosen to marry the man I truly loved. Would I be happier? Would my life be more fulfilling? Or would I still find myself stuck in some other kind of rut? I don't know. What I do know is that I've spent most of my life living a life I didn't want, and now I'm stuck with the consequences. I wish things could have turned out differently, but sometimes, life doesn't work that way.
I'll admit it, when I was younger, I swore I would never get married. I was one of those guys who thought, why tie yourself down when you can live life on your own terms? I watched my friends settle down, get hitched, and start families, and I always thought it seemed like too much work, too much compromise. I didn't want to deal with that. But then I met Sarah, and everything changed. Sarah is everything I never knew I needed in a wife. She's patient, calm, and she has this way of seeing the good in every situation. I'm not an easy guy to live with. I can be stubborn, sometimes grumpy, and I don't always think things through before I act. But Sarah? She just smiles and waits for me to come around. I never realized how much I needed that kind of calm until she came into my life. And she's funny, like genuinely hilarious. She'll crack a joke at the perfect moment, or do something silly just to make me laugh. It's impossible to stay mad at her for long because she knows how to turn any bad day into a good one with just her laugh. One thing I absolutely love about Sarah is how active she is. I'm a guy who likes to stay on the couch watching sports, but she's constantly dragging me out of the house to do something. At first, I resisted. I didn't get it. Why go for a walk when I could be watching TV? But Sarah has this infectious energy. She loves hiking, biking, yoga. You name it, she's into it. And over time, I found myself getting into it too. We'll go for long walks together in mornings, and sometimes she'll convince me to take a yoga class, even though I'm terrible at it. I'll admit, I feel better for it. She got me to join a local running club, and I actually look forward to it now. I've never been in better shape, and I owe it all to her. She didn't just change my habits, she changed my whole mindset. We didn't get a dog right away. At first, I was hesitant. I thought that's just one more responsibility. But Sarah really wanted one, and after a lot of talking and a little bit of nagging, we adopted a dog from the shelter. His name is Max, and he's the best thing that ever happened to us. Max is a golden retriever, and from the moment we brought him home, he fit right into our lives. He's got this goofy, lovable personality. He'll follow Sarah around the house like a shadow, and every time she says the word walk, he's up and ready to go. But here's the thing, Max is my dog too. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who gets attached to a dog, but Max, he's family. He's loyal, always by my side when I'm sitting on the couch, and he's the perfect walking buddy. Sarah and I take him on long hikes, and even though I grumble a little when she suggests a longer route, I end up enjoying it. It's become something we do together, walking the dog, talking about our day, just being with each other. Another thing I never expected was how much my mom loves Sarah. They get along so well, and it makes me so happy to see them enjoying each other's company. They meet up without me sometimes, go shopping together, or even go for runs. I think it's funny how they become such good friends. But I'm glad they do. It's nice to know that my mom not only approves of Sarah, but genuinely enjoys spending time with her. Sarah and my mom both love the idea of me being a bit more active, so sometimes they'll drag me along for these little adventures. The other day, they invited me on a hike, and when I reluctantly agreed, I found myself having a great time. I realized that I don't always have to be in charge of the plans. It's nice to be surprised by how much fun I can have when I just go with the flow. I never imagined that I'd end up here. I didn't think I was the marrying type, but Sarah proved me wrong. She's the best thing that ever happened to me, and I'm lucky that she chose me. Sure, there are moments when we argue. What marriage doesn't have those? But at the end of the day, we always work it out. I don't ever want to take her for granted. Now, when I look back at my life before Sarah, I can't imagine living it without her. I'm healthier, happier, and more fulfilled than I ever thought possible. She taught me how to live life to the fullest, how to be more than just a guy who's content to sit back and let life pass by. I may have never wanted to get married, but with Sarah, I couldn't have asked for a better life. I'm glad she made me take that leap, because sometimes the best things in life come when you least expect them. And now, every day with her feels like a gift.